Today we're going to talk about the horrible story of abuse that is tables in HTML. Tables were one of the few first structural items that designers had in the web. So the second we got a hold of this power, we instantly started turning it to nefarious purposes. See, when you think about a table, you may be thinking about Excel or something like that, where you've got a heading at the top and a bunch of columns of data. Columns have rows, so on and so forth. But see, web designers, when we looked at that, we instantly said to ourselves, hey, you know what I can do is I can make a table that's my entire page. And so I can draw my page and say all this stuff up here is a table row. There's some table data here, some table data here, and I can make a menu bar with another row, and then I can lay out my page in essentially a grid of boxes and use those boxes to lay out my page. And then if I wanted a more complicated layout, I could join rows and columns. Well, I could join columns. Join columns and make bigger rows and then put tables. Change the color. Put tables inside of other tables and come up with really complicated layouts of tables inside of tables. Table, 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 table. Old websites were horrific abuses of tables. But the data scientists didn't like that. The designers of the internet were trying to come up with a way to label data and visually display data that made sense. And calling your entire website a table when it wasn't a table of data was completely inappropriate. So instead, we want to reserve tables for actual tabular data. This is the way the web page looks at a table. Like anything else, it is either a block or an inline item. And in HTML's case for tables, we consider that a block item, which means the table is a big box that we can put table data into. So this big box we label table. Straightforward, right? Close table. Everything inside the table is going to be part of the table. When you put content in here that's not in table rows and table datas, it can get a little weird, different behavior between different browsers, but it's not guaranteed to show up. If it does show up, it's going to show up in the wrong place. And then when we look at a table, if we look at this table over here, we either think about the table in terms of left to right or top to bottom. And since HTML deals with everything from top to bottom, we can think of this table as being a set of rows that are stacked on top of each other that give the appearance of columns. The rows are real structure. The columns kind of magically appear by lining up the same number of contents. So we have our table element on the outside, and then we have a TR element that lays out one table row. You can tell it's an old element because it's got that abbreviated, unhelpful name, TR. And each row in our table is represented with a separate TR. Did a horrible job drawing that one. TR, TR. Would be a row with three, or a table with three rows. 3 TRs, 3 rows. Open, close. Some of you had troubles in others' assignments with the list items that are kind of set up in the same way. If this was an unordered list, it would have that parent unordered list, and then each list item is a row, kind of like a fake table. if you use an actual table, you have table, table row, and then each of the little boxes inside is called a TD for table data. So let's grab another color. TD. And that makes a box. I'm not going to do the open and close here, but there is a closed TD. Just don't have enough room for it. TD, TD, TD. That would be a 3-column table. It expects us to line up another 3 in the next table row. If you don't give it the same number, it will actually give you a warning and tell you that there's a problem with your code because you have a mismatch. You can say, still too big, that this table row or table data has a call span of 2. It spans 2 columns. And so you can stretch out your table rows, and that's what we did, you abused to create monstrosities. But this simple structure can allow you to lay out your data in a grid-like format. You can give different properties to each row. You can give different properties to each table data. You can give properties to the entire table. If you want to give it a heading up here at the top, instead of having table data, you would have, let me see if I can erase this without destroying the whole thing. You would call those THs. TH for table heading. So you can set up a row of headings and then rows of table datas. Now, that's mostly, of course, for formatting, so you can format your heading different than your data. These days, with semantic HTML and HTML5, if you have a row of table headings, you can call that a T head, so you can format your headings more easily. And your body of your form, or body of your table, is going to be called a T body. And if you have captions or explanatory data in the bottom in its own row, you can put those in a T foot for table footer. All right, there's a whiteboard version of it. See how that looks in Dreamweaver. I'm going to use the inserts to make it easy. It says how many rows, how many columns, 3 columns, 200 pixels, headers on top, and we're going to give it some actual borders so that they show up. Hit OK, and you can see that it builds that same structure. T body, TR, and then each of these grid points is on a different line. And so if you say A, B, C, you now have headings A, B, C, and data 1, 2, 3. Now, our Dreamweaver kind of incorrectly labeled this row as part of the T body. So we're going to go ahead and fix that and call that a T head and paste it back in there. Notice that it's really not going to change our table very much. You can't tell the difference, but now if we wanted to style our T head, we could easily style all of that row and kind of pick it out. Give our text, some kind of bold color, make our size extra large, whatever we want to do. No, we don't want to do like a red on green. That's horrific. No, red on light blue, still ugly. Whatever. We're just kind of drawing, and then mostly I want to turn off the border by giving it a width of 0. So now we don't have any kind of border around it. These ABCs are just kind of floating off into space. We'll have to turn off the border on the T heads if we really want to get rid of the entire border. But we got rid of a good chunk of the border, so we can have just kind of like a border banner, I guess. Table row, table header. Come down to border, let's turn that off. And now we just have a headings across the top. I'm going to say it's the prettiest thing in the world, but we have ourselves a basic table, simple structure, table, table head, table row, TH, 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 end table row, NT head, T body, table row, TD, 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 a 3 column table.